Welcome back to Terpii, back with another weekly video on the channel. We're starting out this week's video in the 6-light Flexstar flower room. In the previous video, we got this room harvested. Later in the video, we'll go over the harvest numbers, what we got from harvesting our 5 different strains in this grow room. We did the cleanup and reset. We finished up cleaning the tables and scrubbing them, as you can see behind me. So today we're getting in here and setting up the 1-gallon cocoa bags and then transplanting all of our clones in here and then finally watering them in. Hope you like that little time lapse with me and my friend getting these clones transplanted in here. We are using 1-gallon cocoa bags in the white bags, and then you see the black pots at the front of the room. Those will be our mother plants. We're just gonna veg them in here while this room is in veg mode, and then we'll move them to another location that's in the veg stage also, so we can get them big enough to be mother plants and so on. So they still need to be watered in here. They're not in the healthiest condition, but we will nurse them back to life over the next week or two before we send them into flower. But I'm very happy with getting this room turned over and growing constantly in here. Hopefully we don't have any issues for this round, just like we've had in the past in this building. But we're going to start this room on a positive note. We got some nice new cocoa bags, which I do supply in Thailand. So if you need cocoa, we got 1-gallon bags now, 10 liters, 50 liters and 80 liter sizes. Bulk orders available. So we'll go over the strains that we do have in here. We got Frozen Gelato, Spaceballs, Hawaiian Rain, Sub-Zero, Strawberry Banana Cream, Ipina. This is White Inferno, Peanut Butter Pie, and this is just the extra Hawaiian Rain here. So different numbers of each of those strains in here, but we have between 6 to 9 plants per strain in here. We are going with a higher plant count right now currently. We'll see how many of these clones survive, because a couple of them are drooping down quite a bit, as you can see right there. So we'll see which ones are healthy before we go into flower. We might narrow down the plant count to have only the healthy plants in here, but that's okay. We do have extras in here right now. Ideally, I like to run 9 plants per light in here. So even if we get down to that number, I'm happy. If we have a little bit higher plant count, that's okay. We'll just flip them to flower quicker, so we have smaller plants in here, as we are limited on the height in here. Environmental conditions in here: 81% relative humidity and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. We are going to raise that temperature a little bit now that we've got the humidity up. It was a little lower, as I forgot to plug the humidifier in when we started the transplanting, so it was around 40% relative humidity in here, which did cause some stress on the clones for the first hour of the clones being in this room. But now we've got the humidifier running. The humidity is up now, ready for the first watering, which I've done already. We'll take you into the irrigation room. Here's our irrigation tank or nutrient tank. We have mixed our front row egg nutrients over here. And then we have 3 RO storage tanks right here. As you can see, the white lines are our feed from our RO tank. We will be adding a pump in here so we can have automated irrigation from our water lines that are already set up. We just need to do the final connection from here to the tables, which I will do in the next couple days. We are going to get this room completely finalized. Last grow, we took the entire grow to really focus on the plants instead of building out the space 100%. So now that we know that we can grow in this building and plants can survive, we'll do the final building processes now that we have plants in here. You can see we got our CO2 controllers hooked up here. We'll get our bottles set up right here. Nice clean setup. We got our humidifier. I still need to get a humidity controller, which will go right here. I don't rely on these built-in ones. They are very inaccurate. So we will get another Inkbird controller, which a humidity version, which will go right here. And then we also have our Pulse banner hung up now. Big supporter of the channel. So if you guys want any of the Pulse products, like their Pulse Pro here, their Pulse Hub, we do have another Pulse Pro there and a Pulse Pro here. In here we have the Pulse Zero somewhere right here. And then to go with all the Pulse Hub connections, we have our EC sensor, pH sensor, and THV sensor. We will be adding an ORP sensor all to our reservoir. So that will be great information going forward so you guys can see exactly what's going on inside this grow, the entire cycle of plants in here. Okay, so everything's been watered. We're gonna let this sit overnight, give them about 24 hours, and then we'll come back here again, give them another heavy watering just to really clean out the cocoa in case there's anything in there. And then we're gonna shut off the lights and spray the plants with Athena IPM to really make sure that there's no bugs in here. That's one precaution to do before you ever see bugs. So I'm gonna be spraying with Athena IPM during the veg stage, and then we use the predator mites and nematodes in the flower stage to keep the plants healthy. Little damage from the low humidity before, but now that the plants are watered and the lights are on, I'm sure they'll all bounce back, or the majority of them. So that's it for tonight. I'll give you guys an update when we do our next watering and spraying the plants. Okay, so it's been 6 days since transplanting these clones into the cocoa bags. These are 1 gallon size bags. Well, just over, because these are prototype bags from this company. But this is the same company I've been using for the commercial facility. This is just a new product that they're coming out with the 1 gallon pre-filled loose cocoa bags. So we're doing a trial run to see how they are. Same exact cocoa source as we used in the last couple grows, both in the grow tent room and the commercial facility. We did have an issue with transplanting these clones into here. It seems like they have recovered. We did have the first 4 or 5 days of rainy weather outside in this area, and it seemed to have an effect on the room. And the plants really didn't have a very good time over the first, I would say, 4 to 5 days, the time that it was raining. As you can see at the front here, we have 2 that we lost. These are ready to be killed off. I'll just pull them out, see how the roots ended up dying or getting suffocated. See? Oh, that one kept its roots but died off. Same with this one. Anyways, those ones died off. We probably will still lose this one over here. And I think might be one back there, yeah, right there in the center of the screen, that I'll end up killing off. But otherwise, it seems like a lot of them are becoming healthy now. We did receive the clones with a nutrient deficiency, and it seems like the bigger clones like this and this, no issues. But the smaller ones that had some really bad deficiencies took a while to really establish their root system in the cocoa and get away from getting damaged like this. What I ended up doing just to have another trial in here is I got a clone from another source. This is Orange Kush Cake, the same genetics that we grew in here on the last round, which we had very good success. I like the terps of this plant or genetic the most out of the last run in here. So I ended up getting 2 of these clones. I have one in here transplanted and I have another one outside. I want to see if a clone in here with no nutrient deficiencies would react like the rest of the plants in here that we got from a different source. Because a lot of people on my Instagram were saying that it was the light source causing the issues or the cocoa or nutrients. I know for myself that it has nothing to do with cocoa because we use it here in other facilities without any issues. I know the PAR reading on these lights are perfect for established clones. The only downfall we see is the clones that I get from this one source has nutrient deficiencies every time I get it from them. Going forward after this round, I will be making mother plants from not only this orange kush cake, but one of every strain I have in here that is currently outside. So those will be mother plants, and I'll be either taking home clones off of those plants for the future or starting the pheno hunts from seed. So I have my own genetics again, like I did back in Canada, where I had great results after I did the pheno hunts and having my own pheno selections to grow from after that. It's been 2 days, I think, from now, from transplanting this, and we see zero issues in here, zero change, I should say, or negative effects from this plant coming into here. So that tells me that either it's when outside starts raining, or it's the clones having the nutrient deficiencies from this one clone supplier. Not to bash that clone supplier, as they do a good job at rooting the clones and providing a service where you don't need any minimum order quantities, where a lot of other sources say you have to have a minimum order of 50 per strain, where you can get multiple strains from these people without any issues other than the nutrient deficiencies. But we're gonna work past this. Again, we're gonna have another successful grow in here, just like we did in the last round. Just at the very beginning of the grow, we tend to have some issues in this building. I still don't know if it's the rain outside that reacts with something behind the paint or inside the concrete walls, or it was the clone source, because we have been using the same clone source throughout all these trial and error times in this building. But moving forward from that, we'll take a quick look at the conditions in here using the FlexStar Zeus controller, which is a 2-channel controller. So we have our FlexStar 720 watt LED lights, and then we also have the far red bars, which we will be only using or utilizing in the flower stage for about 10 to 15 minutes before the big lights come on, and then 10 to 15 minutes after the big lights go off. This will initiate and speed up the either waking up or going to sleep process for the clones at the beginning and end of each light cycle. So currently we're at 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 80 degrees Fahrenheit and 70% relative humidity. Those sensors are located right here, so pretty much at canopy level. And then we also have a pulse sensor to confirm those readings. So we're getting both data collected from the Pulse Pros and the FlexStar sensor there. So we have one there, one set there, one set over there, and then we have just one temperature humidity sensor there. We do have a Pulse Zero in here in our irrigation room, which we're utilizing to make sure that our water and nutrients stay at a correct level, doesn't get too hot in here. And then we also have the Pulse Hub, which we will be utilizing for the automatic irrigation cycle in here. Cycles where we also have connected to the Pulse Hub the water content sensor there. We have one per table, one there. And let me get over here, and one over here. So 2 currently per table. We will upgrade to having 1 moisture content sensor or VWC per light, so we can run 6 strains in here in the future. Once we have our final strains chosen for the Blem Genetics projects going forward. And it'll be really exciting to finally have this place dialed in going forward. We ended up getting the Pulse banner set up and our CO2 controllers set up with our CO2 bottles there with the solenoids on there. You can see our humidifier doing a great job keeping the humidity up during the early stages of this grow. Most people will say you don't need a humidifier in the Thailand climate since it's tropical over here, but indeed, when the plants are small like this, you still need to add the humidity to the room, as your AC system does a great job at dehumidifying the air, which at this stage of growth is not a beneficial situation for the growing environment, as we do need to keep our humidity above 70 and below 85 at this stage of growth. We're keeping our temperatures around 80 to 83 degrees Fahrenheit, but overall we'll go over the strains we got. We already talked about the orange Kush cake. We've got space balls right here. Behind that is Sub-Zero, looking good. Excited to see this one grow out in this room. We got White Inferno here, pineapple, purple pineapple back here, and then behind that is Ipina. I've never grown this strain or seen it, but it'll be exciting to see the results from back here. So quite the selection on this side of the room. Definitely wouldn't recommend running this many strains in one room, but again, this entire harvest is going to go in the shop. So anybody that can visit after the harvest can not only see the grow and what was done during the entire process, but they get to also enjoy it when they come here to visit the cafe below. So we got strawberry banana cream right here. Behind that is peanut butter pie right here. Behind that is frozen gelato. Miracle glue is back here, so we have quite a few Miracle glue and frozen gelato. So pretty excited over here. Good selection of everything. So I think we covered quite a bit in this room so far. Give you an update in a few days once we really know which clones we're gonna actually keep, because I don't think it's worth it to run this clone here, and I think there's a couple more back there that look exactly the same. So we'll pick out the clones that are all similar in sizes, and then we'll spread them out and really get set, flip the plants into flower once they get a little bit bigger. Out here on the rooftop as the sun is going down, I want to give you guys a quick look at the plants. Today we got in here and did a mild leaf strip, not as aggressive as I usually go, but since this is outdoors, I figured I could leave quite a bit more leaves on the plants. In the last video, I showed you guys some not only nutrient deficiencies, but some bug damage. So that bug damage was probably spider mites, and the nutrient deficiency was because I put the Guy Green nutrients on about a week or a week and a half a little bit too late. So we've learned our lesson on the application of the nutrients for the next round, and then also to really stay ahead of the predator mites, getting those put in at the proper time so we have no bug problems going forward. You can see the damage on these leaves, definitely spider mite damage. So we did do a leaf stripping to get rid of as many spider mites as possible in here, and then we're going to do an application of some predator mites and some nematodes in the growing medium. It is a little late in flower. We only have about 4 weeks to go until harvest time, but for outdoor plants and not really giving them much attention, we do have some frosty quality nugs out here, and also they are super dense, so very happy to see that. Otherwise, over here, this half of the roof is doing much better than that little group on that side. This does get a couple hours less light per day, which is actually beneficial for the plants as the sun is very strong here. So having a couple hours less per day is actually helping the DLI reading be more in tune with the plants, what they are asking for currently. But you can see just how frosty and nice these rainbow fruits are right now. I'm very excited to be able to run the next round up here after we've learned what we did for this round and the quality that we can achieve up here in this little small area. Not doing much, just watering when needed, and the Guy Green nutrients really does a good job of making the plants healthy when the proper applications are followed in the time frame. Next time we will get the trellis netting on here a lot sooner, and maybe we'll do a little bit longer of a veg time to really utilize this space to the maximum, so we can get the plants a little bit higher than this tent pole, so we can have a full canopy and not have these couple pots that don't have plants in here, because we will be doing a pheno hunt up here of the stomp berries, so we can really get that strain back into rotation in all my spots, because honestly that's probably one of the best strains I've ever grown from, even getting from other breeders. So we will be utilizing that in the future, and then also getting that in the large commercial facility, because even in the cafe, that is one of the most popular strains on the menu. So we really did something right when we made that cross of the Blue Gas crossed with the Grape Stomper OG. So over here, there's a little bit smaller plants, but and smaller buds also. So you can tell by the little bit less light per day is actually beneficial for both the quality and the yield. So for the next round, once we've harvested this, I am going to get the 50% shade cloth installed. It'll cover all the way, it'll be like a sloped roof, and then it'll come to this edge of the chalice or the grow tent poles, and then come straight down as a wall. That way there is shaded cloth on all areas of the plants throughout the entire day, because the sun does come through the sky like this and then sets over there. So we do need both areas covered. But overall, looking good up here. We'll do the same thing over here, just from the top of the roof out to the edge and then down to the wall, so everything's covered on both angles. Okay, the update that I really don't want to be showing you guys, but again, I show you guys everything, good, the bad, the ugly, and whatever goes on in my grow. So as you can see, we have some empty tents in here. This was the breeding projects in here. Remember, we had the peanut butter pie, chopped cherry gas, and then rainbow fruits that we all reversed. Unfortunately, they didn't drop any pollen. Even at that point, you guys were saying that my pollen would be cross-contaminated because I'm doing the breeding in the grow tents. If our exhaust fan is on 24 hours, 7 days a week, there is no chance that the pollen is going to get out of this tent and go into another tent. The only possible way is if there's a leak in the air ducting or it gets through the filters. That's the only possible way that there's pollen that's going to get out of the tent and then into another tent, because we are running negative pressure. If you are one of the people that don't keep your fan and filter on 24 hours, then yes, possible that one of these fans can push some pollen out of the different seams. But if you're running negative pressure, then all the air is going out of the fan and through the filter. So that's just my take on that. But yes, there is a possibility when opening the tent, pollen can come out of the tent. Maybe it gets on your clothes or on your arm, on your hair, and then when you go to the next tent, it gets transferred that way. That is a possibility, but with the automated irrigation, you don't really go into the tents very often after you get past the training stage. Once the trellis netting is on and your de-leafing is done, which is done before the pollen starts to drop, there's no real reason to go in there during a breeding project, because you're not trying to maximize the amount of harvest yield for bud quality. You're trying to really just develop the seeds. So once you're past the day 21 mark, there's no real point on going in there other than to spread the pollen onto the buds. So that's just my little spiel on breeding in these grow tents. You guys can look at it the way you guys want. I've done a few different rounds back in Canada with no issues breeding in one grow tent with a complete harvest going on in the other tent that I'm not breeding in, and we didn't have any seeds over there. Yes, we've had some hermaphrodites in the past from light leaks and whatnot, but again, that wasn't anywhere near the breeding projects. So the reason I have no plants in here currently is after those 3 plants didn't produce any pollen, I ended up just killing off all the plants in here. I didn't want to use any more energy on the AC systems or the dehumidifiers and the fans and whatnot, because the plants weren't really grown for maximizing the yield. So the amount of the harvest we would have got in here wasn't going to be beneficial to me to run this room for another 4 or 5 weeks and then having to dry those plants for another 2 weeks. So that would be taking up to 6 to 8 more weeks of using electricity and all my labor coming in here, watering the plants and doing all that type of thing. So I made the decision to kill off everything. We're going to clean this place up. We're going to complete the irrigation system so we can have the automatic irrigation fully done in this room. Like I said in the past video, once I start growing, I kind of don't have enough time to finish off the construction projects that I usually have going on, which I have found in the past really hinders me from growth. Sometimes I get a little bit too ahead of myself and start one project before finishing the last one. As you can see, the irrigation system, this was started before we started growing. I started growing the plants in here and never ended up finishing the irrigation system. So that's what I'm gonna do right now, or over the next little while before we start the next round of plants, is finish off the irrigation in here. Everything else is 100% in here for the next project or round of plants. So we're gonna finish the piping here from the pump into the water tanks. Everything else is completed other than the air valve right here. We just gotta have one fitting there, which just arrived yesterday, so I will be installing that. All the valves and everything is connected behind there. We just need to connect the open sprinkler system to the pulse hub. And then also the last item was connecting this reservoir or catch basin for our runoff. So we can have a float valve in there which goes out the wall behind this tent into a drain, and then we never have to worry about that anymore. So quick little update for you guys on the grow tent room and the breeding projects and what we have in store going forward in this space. Okay, so we're on day 8 since transplanting these clones into the white bags. We have since added this orange kush cake to the room just to see the results from a different clone source with much more established roots and receiving it without any nutrient deficiencies. So this one's been in here about for 4 days. No real changes at all on it, so that's a good sign for us. With this one going forward, the remaining plants are very hit or miss. We have some plants like this that are pretty much dead. We have a few that have already died off, I think 5 of them. And then we have other ones. This strain right here, these 3 and these 2 are Spaceballs. They were the worst clones when I received them. Most deficiency and not very weak established roots. So that's a good reference to see for the entire room. But otherwise there's much better strains over here, which you can see have pretty much fully recovered and are growing at a very good pace. Just like over here, the strawberry banana cream, 0 issues with this particular clone, along with this one over here, that's strawberry banana cream also. Then we have other ones like this. So it might have to do with the quality of the clones that we're getting and if the roots are actually established fully when coming into this building. Otherwise, back here we've got Ipina, looking really good. We still see some of that damage that we always get every time we bring clones into this room. It does grow out of it like it did on the last round, but it's still the same issue that we've been having going forward. With that being said though, the first few days of the clones being in here, it was raining like I said earlier, and since then it has not rained at all, and we have seen much healthier growth from the plants since then. 2 things. That one plant over there has not seen environment inside this room when it has been raining outdoors. And that plant has stayed 100% healthy the way we have received it. The rest of the clones we received with not the best root system on them, and the leaves were nutrient deficient, along with the rain happening outside. So those are 2 different scenarios that we're dealing with right now to hopefully find the results in the future. So if it does start raining again and we see the plants take a dive again on the health, then we know it definitely has something to do with the rain outdoors affecting something either inside the walls, behind the paint, or the actual paint. So that's where my mindset is right now on determining what's wrong with these plants coming into the room or the building. Otherwise, we are still moving forward with this grow. I think we're going to be successful, just like the last round. We just got to work through this beginning phase of the clones getting into this building, along with the clone source. Like I said earlier, we will be doing our own clones and doing pheno hunts from here on out. We have been waiting on this piece to arrive, so it finally happened. This is the adapter for our air valve here, so we'll put this on the end like here. And then we'll be able to, this one goes on that side actually, but there is another T like this where we will be putting this at the end over there. And then we will be using another one of these fittings up on the roof right there, so we can transfer from the blue pipe to the same white pipe that we have down here. So it'll just come straight down, attached to each of the tables, and then we'll have our automatic irrigation set up for this round of plants once we install the drip emitters. And the last item that we are waiting on is the dab pump that will be mounted right here above the nutrient tank. Just a few last small projects to get this room 100%. I did end up just finishing up the watering for this room. We watered on transplant day with half gallon of water with nutrients into each of the pots, which are 1 gallon cocoa bags. And then the next day, day 2, we put another half gallon of nutrient mix, the same nutrient strength and pH that we used on the day 1, which was about 2.3 EC and 6.0 pH. Today, we did the exact same watering on day 8. So it did about 7 days without watering. It was a good dry back. We had anywhere between 25% moisture content in the growing medium and about 32% across the entire room. So that was good to see, good dry back amount. Good time to hit it with another irrigation cycle, which was hand watering. Inside the growing medium at the dry back, it was around a 2.2 EC. So after the watering, it's back up to a 2.4, 2.5 EC after everything is said and done. I will put up on the screen the screenshot from the pulse data collection that we have with the VWC sensor back there, just so you guys can see the confirmation of what's going on inside the growing medium and inside the grow room. So that was a quick update on here. We'll head up to the next area so you guys can see what's going on over there. Okay, so I'm just here in the temporary trimming session room, which we have 8 people hand trimming in here. We fully bucked the super booth, which is half the 64 light flower room, into bins already. Got the people set up to do hand trimming. We did machine trim it on a no-name unit, just to quickly get off the large fan leaves, and then everything's being touched up by hand after that. The running it through a machine quickly does the majority of the work, probably 60, 70, or maybe 80% of the work, even on the low quality machine. In the future, we will be having a twister T4 or T2 setup, just in get it set up or in the building in time for this harvest. So hopefully by next harvest we will have those units in place and we can really be much more efficient with our time, as the hand trimmers are pretty slow over here. Most of them, it's their first time doing it, so we've had to train them, and slowly 1 or 2 of them are getting a lot faster. So here's the setup. We got 4 people over there and 5 people on this side. So what I go over, we have the finished product here. Down the center is all the bud that has been bucked off the branches and quickly machine trimmed. As you can see, there's still quite a bit of leaf on there, but even some of the buds are pretty much 80-90% there. Just need a quick touch up. If it would focus for you guys, I don't know if it will. There you go. This is super booth, all right here. So each setup, we have the trim bin. These aren't really the best option, but this is what we have available for us for the trimming currently. So they trim over this is the bud for them to trim, and then they put the finished product over here. Somebody collects it from each staff and then puts it into the finished bin there, which will be headed over to packaging. They have multiple sets of scissors that are in ISO so they can stay fresh and they don't get sticky. But otherwise, this is a very basic setup. The ground is a little bit cleaner than it actually looks. It's just very stained from construction in this place. But otherwise, just want to give you guys a quick overview of what's going on in here. We will show you the finished product actually. So here's super booth. Let me be a closer look at a random bud. These are kind of small ones, but you get the idea. There she is, looking all right. We'll go for a bigger bud. See if you guys like that anymore. Pretty happy with this harvest overall. The buds are very dense and smell great. I can only imagine how they are going to smell and smoke after the curing is done, but very, very happy with the results from this round. Excited to see the harvest numbers or the yield from all these bins once they are trimmed up. It's going to take a few days, even with 8 people here. They are going to take down the Slurricane next, and then the Alien OG after that. We'll keep you updated as we go with this whole process. Being hard at work in here over the last probably 3 or 4 days so far. Because this is flower room 2 where we just had our harvest. Everything's bucked off and into the bins here. Everything that's in this room currently is Slurricane, and then we have super roof being trimmed into the smaller office that was converted to hand trimming. Here is the Slurricane that's being completed trimming. Very small buds overall, but still very high quality. If we can focus here, there you go. Super frosty, dense, just very small. Happy with the quality. I don't know if we'll run this strain again, but I'm still happy with the quality. So as you can see, we got chairs down this side of the room and also down this side of the room. So we got about 12 to 15 hand trimmers in this room and then 8 hand trimmers in the smaller room. Good little progress we got going on here. We did try some of the buds with the bowl trimmers. Wasn't the greatest quality, so we didn't decide to use that going forward. But the Slurricane is going to be done probably in 2 days, and the super roof probably, I think, 2 more days. And then down here we also have Alien OG, which still needs to be hand trimmed. That'll be the last of everything because we're not too happy with that strain at all. We have the lights, Grandmaster LED lights up here on each of the rows for the hand trimmers, just at 10% so they can have some good lighting during the hand trimming. So quick update, I'm gonna set up this place for today and then get back to you guys when we're done trimming. I'm just too focused on the hand trimming right now, getting the harvest complete to really document it fully. But in the future, we will get into more detail of what's going on. Quick look at the harvest here. So we got super boof, if it'll focus. Right there, that's super boof. 4 bins of that. Then we got Slurricane here, if it'll focus. Super nice quality, just a little bit smaller buds. Sorry, I don't have gloves on, but this is better view. So we got about 1 3/4 bin there, and then Alien we got about half a bin. Here you go. There's the Aliens. Smaller buds, but still super good quality. Overall, happy with the harvest of this room so far. We got a bunch of trim over there. So just a quick overview of the harvest we got. Okay, so we're in flower room 2 currently, where we just finished up our harvesting. You can see just how clean the tables are behind me. Took about anywhere from 12 to 21 people, depending on the day, to harvest this entire room from the drying process, including the bucking, breaking down all the plants in the room, putting them into bins, then hand trimming all the buds, and then also cleaning this room fully so it's ready for the next round. They got in here on the 6th day. They were done about lunchtime, and then they all came in here and cleaned the tables, all these lines, scrubbed them down, disinfected them. So everything in here is 100% ready to go for the next round. Pretty sure we have most of the harvest sold already. Just gonna wait on that to be delivered in the next few days. Once that is confirmed, then we will be ordering the clones for the next round of this. And then let me head into flower room 1 so you guys can see the condition of that room right now. Okay, so here we are in flower room number 1. You can see that the poles are missing for the cross bracing for the trellis netting. We still need to install those before the next round, but the team that harvested also came in here and fully disinfected and cleaned this room also, making sure that it's ready for the next round. A couple things that we need to add into this room that we haven't done in the other room is put the floor fans, 1 in each corner in the room, install the 4 mini split air ACs, so 2 on this wall and 2 on that wall to replicate the other room, and then the cross poles, and I think that's everything that we need to add in here, other than the extra dehumidifier, which we're gonna get a portable one that's about 480 liters in size per day that it can pull out of the air. So when this room is in the last week and a half to 2 weeks of flower, we need a little bit extra dehumidification to be able to lower the temperatures to really utilize the last week of harvest to bring the temperatures down to not only keep the quality of the terpenes as high as possible, but also bring out the colors in the flowers. So we're gonna add a plug around this location so we can plug our dehumidifier in, which is a 480 volt system. So we'll have a plug dedicated for that, so it can slide in here, be mounted right here, and then it'll blow the dehumidified air across the top of the canopy and spread out across the room. We'll have one unit for 2 flower rooms, so one will be shared from this room and the flower room number 2, and then we'll get another one once we head over into flower room number 3 and 4 once those are completed, I hope in the next 6 months or so. Now that we've figured out all the issues in this facility and the construction ups and downs, which we had with the HVAC system up there with all the leaking air ducting. But just want to give you guys a quick update on the facility right now. Day 12 since transplanting the clones into the 6-light FlexStar room, which we currently are in. Little test that we have going on right now is all the clones in the white bags are from one source that came with a nutrient deficiency. Very different sizing in the clones and health. We can see the reaction we have with the clones coming into this space is very strain dependent. As you can see, some plants right here are much smaller than ones back here in the center or even farther in the back. And then strawberry banana cream over here doing really good. And then we have some at the back that aren't doing so good over there. So what the goal is now, which I'll do in probably 2 or 3 days, is organize the strains to have all the big ones on that side and then all the smaller ones this side, so we can have a more even watering schedule for each of the tables. That way we can really utilize the automatic irrigation going forward once I have that fully completed. One other test that we have going on is here's the orange kush cake clone that I got from a different source than the white bags over here. Came with perfect health, no nutrient deficiencies, no bugs. We do see some bugs on these plants over here, which I will have to start getting in here and spraying right when the lights turn off with Athena IPM, which I have found works really good. If you spray every other day for a week and then the following week spray every 3 days, every third day I should say, and then by the end of the second week you are bug free for the remainder of the grow, and you don't need to do any type of spraying in the flower stage. But getting back to the point of the orange kush cake here, zero effect since bringing this clone into the grow space. So we know that it's not really the building, but the one difference of this plant being in here opposed to the remaining plants, other plants I should say, is that when these other plants were put into the building, it was raining for 3 days constantly. We do have to keep that in the back of our minds on there might be some type of effect happening. When it rains outside, it definitely changes the environmental factors coming into the building with the ground being more saturated with water, along with the building construction isn't the greatest quality here in Thailand, and this building being very old and wasn't well upkept for many years before me taking over this space. So we will keep that in mind in the future for our next rounds. But either way, I still think we'll have a very successful run in here. The third test we've been doing in here is I have one plant of every strain over here on the sidelines to really determine if it might be the lights, because many people keep saying it's the lights. I have the lights on too strong, and you can see the difference in the quality of the clones over here compared to over here. The ones that are healthy and nice and big and robust, no issues. The ones that are small are greening up and growing just at a slower pace. And the ones over here are pretty much stagnant. They haven't grown very much compared to the ones that are directly under the light. So people saying the lights are too strong and damaging the plants, that's definitely not a factor, because we still see the damage happening on these plants just at a slower rate of growth. Again, all these plants are from the same source as the ones in the white here. The only difference is the orange kush cake here and the orange kush cake over here. You can see just how healthy this one is compared to the ones that are surrounding it that came from the other source. We can also see the one that we got from the white bag source does have some bug damage there, so we will be getting in here and spraying. As you can see, there is bug damage here, and it has transferred onto this plant over here, which came from a different source with no bug issues. That same plant or clone over here, zero signs of any bugs being transferred over here from another plant. So those are a few updates going on in this room. The current environmental factors we'll take a look at here. 81 degrees Celsius and 75% relative humidity. Doing all right for the veg stage. This is a random clone that I had out front of the shop for, I don't know, 3-4 weeks now. Just getting minimal light and attention. I can't remember if this is the White Runts clone or a Rainbow Fruits. So we will clone this out and flower one of the clones to really remind ourselves of which clone this is, because White Runts and Rainbow Fruits, much different strains once flowered out. So I will be able to tell as soon as this plant goes into flower with some bud development which strain this is, and we can move forward with utilizing this back into the garden. If it's a White Runts, great, super happy with the quality. We're getting amazing feedback from the White Runts inside the cafe since putting that into the lineup. Here's the Devil's Cherries, another favorite from the last run, so we brought that back. We will grow this out for a mother plant and really scale up the production on this strain in the future into the commercial facility. So I'll get in here tomorrow and do a watering on these plants, and probably hopefully tonight when the lights go off, or I should say early morning because the lights turn off at 9 a.m. I'll get in here and spray for the bugs with Athena IPM. Okay guys, so I'm up here in the grow tent room for the Vivo Sun grow tent setup. Don't mind my eyes, they're super red and irritated right now from the Thailand air quality right now. It's super bad. I'm really getting affected pretty poorly. I can barely see right now, but we're gonna knock some work out today and give you guys a little update. Okay, as you can see, we got some small starter pots here filled with cocoa. Already have some front row egg nutrients watered into them at a feeding of 2 EC. Then we got a bunch of freebie seeds here that we're gonna use as test dummies. So we're gonna put them into the pots and then put them into our grow space in here just to make sure that we don't have any issues. I don't want to use my high quality seeds or the stomp berries last supply in the space just in case the seedlings don't survive in here. So we're gonna use these, put these in here for 3 to 4 weeks, see how they do, and then once we get confirmation that they survive, no issues, then we'll bring out the big dogs and the really good genetics. So set you up on the time lapse here and get these seeds into the pot. Okay, so all the seeds are in here. We ended up actually putting this strain, if it focuses, Mad Tang, into its own area. So we got seeds right here of that. Then we got the LA Kush Cake by Maximum Carnage right here, because those seeds seem to be the most viable out of all of them. And then we got a mix of a bunch of different free ones right here that I didn't end up labeling or anything. They are strictly to be placeholders to see if seedlings survive in this building. So I'm gonna actually move this downstairs to the six light room for about 24 hours while I do some other things, and then I'm gonna bring up the extra plants from downstairs and put them in here tomorrow. So when I do that, I'll bring these seedlings back up here and put them under the clone lights over here. All right, here we are in the 6 light FlexStar room with all the pulse data collection devices. We got the Pulse Pros, the Pulse Ones, Pulse Zeros, and the Pulse Hub right here. So day 21 since transplanting the clones into this room. You can see the different strains are much different sizes now, and we've removed all the unhealthy ones or the ones that died off, and we're stuck with the plants that we're going to be actually flowering in here. We got the right side of the table looking really healthy now, nice and big. Those are probably a little bit over vegged on where I want to flip them to flower, but because we got the smaller clones on this side and at the front right here, we're going to actually over veg this side of the room scrog them out and really do a scrog net across that entire surface. So we take up the entire growing space on that side of the room. And then this side, we'll still put the trellis netting on and scrog it out slightly, just not as aggressively as we're gonna do on that side to keep the branches lower. We got space balls here up at the front. These are the smallest plants in the entire room, but they have recovered just a little bit less healthy than the remaining plants in the room. Just like last round, we had the permanent marker up here on the front row, and those were the first or the lowest quality plants in the room. So we're gonna do the same thing, the lowest quality ones at the front right here, so we can give them the most attention and at least allow them to survive until the end. Right side, all that most healthy plants, and then as we go back, the most healthy plants back there to the least healthy ones at the front or the smallest ones. But overall, looking good at day 21. I'm gonna get in here in the next 2 days and actually top all these plants because they have not been topped. As you can see, they're just growing untopped currently. So we're gonna top them pretty aggressively, probably right here, and use the top of every plant as a branch or as a clone or a cutting. Then we're gonna bring those upstairs into the grow tent room, and then we'll have a bunch of clones that we can turn into more mother plants and really start our genetic library again. And we'll have a bunch of different strains. I think we have 8 or 9 strains in this room currently, and then we have a few more upstairs that we can add to that list. Super excited about the future now that we have pretty much everything figured out. I will give you an update upstairs on the seedlings that we are testing to make sure that the seeds can pop in here in this building without any issues like we have been having. Overall, looking really good. I got to get in here and water the plants. As you can see, some of them are drooping back there, dire need of watering. The lights just came on in about an hour or 2 ago, so I'm in here mixing some nutrients of the front row egg nutrients. We got our nutrient tank here already filled with the nutrients mixed in there. This is the feeding chart that we're following. We're just doing the veg nutrients at 2.6 EC, adding the front row SI, and that's all. Just part A, part B, and the front row SI. It comes out to 6.0 pH without doing any pH up or down, so that's really good to see. But overall, just a quick update for you guys. I'll throw up on the screen the pulse environmental data so you guys can see what the temperature, the humidity, the vapor pressure deficit is currently in this space. Great, little update on the grow tent room. We got all of our extra clones in here. The ones in the black pots were meant to be mother plants, and then the white pots are just extra plants that we removed from the 6 light room downstairs to bring up here and turn into extra mother plants. Really only 3 strains are looking good that remain in the white pot: strawberry banana cream, Sub-Zero, and white inferno. The peanut butter pie back there is not too bad, so we might keep those 4, but the rest of them we're just keeping around just to see how they recover in the space or actually stay alive. Over here, same scenario with the same strains, space balls, and a couple other ones aren't looking too good. The 2 strains right here, orange kush cake and devil's cherries, those 2 are the only plants that we have other than there's one more orange kush cake back there. But for these 2 that are at the front, we are gonna clone those out, take 3 clones or cuts of each. We've got our clone set up ready here. We got our plugs there. We're using rapid rooter plugs, Athena cuts for the rooting compound. We got our scissors all clean here and our dome ready to go. So nice little clone set up here to take the cuttings and do that. So we'll take 3 of each of those, and then the remaining strains we're gonna go downstairs in the FlexStar 6 light room, take 3 cuts of each of the strains I have. So I have a total of 12 strains in this building right now. So we'll take 3 clones of each, and then these 2 plants we're gonna transfer over to one of these tents, and we're gonna flip it into flower and reverse it to hopefully get some pollen out of those 2 strains. And then that's what will be utilized in these 2 grow tents for this round of plants. We're gonna do devil's cherries reversal and a orange kush cake reversal. Hopefully with the plan of flipping those 2 plants 2 to 3 weeks before the remaining plants, we'll get some viable pollen and actually get a successful breeding project out of this space. So that's our plan going forward. We're gonna have those 2 as reversals, and then the other 12 strains, we're gonna put 9 of each in here. We'll obviously have to cut out a few of the strains. Like, I'm not exactly sure which ones yet, but we will go over that in the future. Little update on the seedlings we got in here. They are looking really good. No real yellowing yet like we used to see, or burning. They are a little bit stretched up farther than I would like. That's why I added the pots under here, just to give them a little bit more PPFD, because these clone lights aren't really strong enough for seedlings. But that's the only space I have currently. I don't want to put one of these lights on just yet. So we're just really seeing if these survive or not. And then we're gonna get rid of these and then fill 1 tray, 2 trays, and 3 trays in these small little pots with stomp berries seeds. Okay, so we got all the cloning done. Got purple pineapple, frozen gelato, miracle glue, peanut butter pie, ipina, strawberry banana cream, sub-zero, white inferno, rainbow fruits, or white runts. I can't remember which one this was, as it was a plant that was out front of the cafe for a few weeks and I wasn't planning on cloning it out, but I don't have either the rainbow fruits or the white runts, so cloned it out, and then I will know which bud it is or which strain it is once I put it into flower. So we'll keep an eye on that. We got orange kush cake behind there, and Hawaiian Rain, and then Devil's Cherries. So all the cloning's done. We got our testers below here set up. We'll put our dome on. The dome has been on for about an hour or so, so that's why there is that condensation buildup already. So that's exactly what you want to see once you put the dome on after a couple hours. A nice layer of condensation across the entire dome like this, and then you're off to the races for getting your roots out of here. Anywhere from 7 to 10 days it should take. I've had it down to like 5 or 6 days before on some strains. Typically you want up to 14 days. If you're going past 14 days, it usually means the plug is too moist. If it's too wet, then it won't root. You need that dry back within a week to be able to get the cutting to shoot out some roots within the 7 to 10 day mark. But otherwise, here are the clones in here. We got a few of them like this. The Devil's Cherry is topped out. In the next day or two, tomorrow I'll spray this with reverso spray, these 2 plants. We got the orange kush cake and the Devil's Cherries. Spray that about 2 times every other day. And then we're gonna move those 2 plants into one of these grow tents, flip that to flower, and then 3 weeks later, we'll move the rest of the plants over into these grow tents and then really see how they do. But that's it for down here. We got all of our clones from either in here or downstairs in the 6 light room. Okay, so that's all the time I got for this week's video. I know I've said in the last couple ones that we're going back to weekly uploads. Well, this is the last video that I'm going to say that, and we're going to continue weekly uploads from here on out, as we have had some difficulties with staffing in the shop below or in the cafe, and then some other big tasks like harvesting the 64 light room, where we had up to 20 people per day hand trimming all the flowers over there. So that was a lot to oversee, and I didn't really want to show all the laborers on camera, as I know they don't feel comfortable in front of the camera. So until next time, happy growing everyone, and remember to get out there and make it happen.